Hi, I'm Sean Patrick Mulheron. I've been with Eplan for over 25 years now, and I am the product manager for Eplan Pre-Planning, Eplan Fluid, and Eplan Electric P8. We hope that you are enjoying Rockwell Automation Fair at home today. Today we are going to show you how you can start bidding faster by using pre-planning as a tool upfront to capture all of the data necessary to make sure your bid is accurate, and using the system to generate that bid quickly. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat and we'll go through those right away. Thanks again for joining us, and let's go ahead and get started. So today's webcast is going to give you an idea on how to better handle bidding processes and calculating quotes in regards to controls design projects. If we look at today's approach, a customer will typically use a Word document, an Excel file, maybe some Visio drawings or some other kind of drafted graphical elements, and he'll try to combine this information also with his experience and assign prices and times and scheduling to various different items on that particular project, and try and collect that information and summarize it to get a total quote. This is mainly working because the person doing the quote has done a quote multiple different times and is very experienced in the art of putting systems together and understanding what does it take to put them together. The challenge, however, is if the experienced person is not there, figuring out how can we calculate the time needed to design a system, put systems together, attach prices to it, and store that information in libraries where we can reuse that information so the next quote can be accurate and with the same amount of information without always having to reinvent the wheel. And there are not really any tools today out there to be able to help a user do that. And this is why the approach that we want to showcase today is using our tool Eplan Pre-Planning as a planning tool to help users capture controls information early on in the design process, right away, right up close when a operator might be planning a system or asking for some bidding, and easily capture graphical objects, easily capture control systems, easily assign quoting data and reporting that data to actually generate or quote or information for a specific quote. So on that note, we'll jump over to Eplan, and then we'll kind of walk through the process and get you a better understanding of how that can work in Eplan. Here, I've opened up the Eplan platform, the Eplan software, and on the left-hand side, you can see I have two pages open, one blank page. I have here my pre-planning tree, which is a logical view on specific objects. So without designing any kind of graphical elements, the first thing we can do is even create a logical tree structure. So we have a structure element, we've got a planning object, so I'm going to use my structure element to define a plant. This plant will have a name, for example, P1. I can add some descriptions if I need to. In my plant P1, I'm going to create a new structure element. It's going to be a set of buildings. So it's going to be building 1. And in this building 1, I will add another structure, which will be area 1, for example. You can easily modify the properties after they've been used if needed. And in this area 1, I'm going to also have a new structure, not for this one, sorry, in the building 1, I'm going to have an area 2. And if you want to, you can even copy and paste an area 3 in there, and the system can automatically help you create a structure very easily. So this is a way to organize the data that you need to create your controls design project. In area one, I'd like to define a motor system. I need a motor control system, so I need to define that and capture the information associated with it. So in this case, I'm going to create a new planning object. A planning object can really be anything. It can be an actuator, it could be a converter, it could be a machine, it could be a pickup, or you can customize whatever you want. It could be an enclosure, it could be a valve manifold, it could be a conveyor system, it could be a robot, really absolutely whatever you want it to be. You can organize it however you need it to be. So in this case, I'm just going to take a motor, and this motor, I'm going to give it a name, for example, DRV1, drive 1. And this is going to be specific for my conveyor number 1. In this planning object, we see these different attributes. One is expenditure construction, expenditure planning, expenditure software. What do these mean? These are to capture times. For example, how long is it going to take to assemble and build that motor onto my system? How long is it going to take to plan that particular motor? And how long is it going to take to program it? And finally, calculation value is how much is it going to cost? So let's say for this motor, I'm not going to consider just the motor. I'm going to consider the motor plus the cables, plus the terminals, plus the variable frequency drive, and the protection devices all together. And putting that together is probably going to be at least an 8-hour process. So I'm just going to say 8 hours here. For planning the motor, it's probably going to be 2 hours. You have to size it and figure out how long the cables are going to be. And then to program it is probably going to be an hour to identify the function block and put it in the system. And calculation value, those types of motors with the drive, with everything, it runs at about $8,500, and I can capture a value. Now that I've done this, I can use that drive, and for example, I need one for my area 2, my area 3, so I can easily copy this. I can paste it, and I can paste it in my different areas. And as you can see, I haven't done a single page of drawing. All I've done is captured some control elements for my control system. And right there and then, without any further information, I can generate already a preliminary quote. So I'm going to go to Utilities, use my reporting techniques to generate a report, which would be which is a pre-planning object overview. I'm just going to generate this report, and I'm going to put it on page 3. That's it. There's my report, and let's take a look at it. And now what's happened is these 3 objects that I created have been summarized in a report, which is my planning object overview. It could be my quote. I've got my 3 conveyors, I got my planning time, I got my construction time, and I've got a summarized value here at the end for total value of my system. So this already gives me a really good idea in regards to the quote that I want to put together. And if you want to add another 10% on top of that, then that could be your final number if you wanted to. Additionally to that, each one of these drives can also carry I/O information. So I'm going to select all these drives since they're very similar. I can add, for example, PLC I/O. I need an output to start the motor, so it's going to be an digital output. I'm going to start it with contactors, for example. Then I'm going to add 2 more inputs or 3 more inputs for motor start, motor stop, and motor fault. So I can add, if I want to, I can add also a text, motor start, motor stop, and motor fault. And here I could just have this motor run, for example. So these would be the function text associated to these elements. Now, if I ran my report again, I'm going to update this report. And now look at that. It added all of the signals needed for each one of these objects, giving me a total number of signals. So right then and there, I don't have a drawing yet. I just have an understanding of the control systems that I'll need. I also have a number of IOs or signals needed for that particular system. So there I can already start sizing my PLC system and maybe go to the various different PLC vendors and asking them what type of PLC could support that type of system. So there you can see that pre-planning can be very useful in structuring information, but also capturing certain types of information or data associated to the bidding process, allowing you to bid faster by collecting the information faster and making sure that you've defined it faster. And again, if I had a second building, I could simply copy and paste it, put building number 2. Another benefit is we have what we call templates, pre-planning templates. These pre-planning templates, they can allow you to store a particular drive, like this drive configuration. I could store it in my library of templates. So then when I decide to create a new project, let's say I don't have any conveyors, I'm going to delete these here. And I want to start defining my conveyors, I can go to my library with all of my templates in there, and I can simply drag an actuator in here for A1, take an actuator, put it in A2, take an actuator, put it in A3, and same is true here. I can just run a report, and there you go. You have your quote already done. So using templates with all of the data already pre-stored can be very useful to quickly and easily put a quote together and generate the information needed for bidding. That is using pre-planning for its structure, for its objects, without doing any design. Let's take a look at a design approach. So again, I'm going to delete all of this. And I'm going to remove this particular page. And now let's say I need to design a conveyor system for a manufacturing facility. I'm going to start with a conveyor, so I can use a conveyor macro. So now what we're using is we're using graphical objects. This macro contains the conveyor, contains a motor, contains 2 light barriers, and a cylinder. By using my tab key, I've got 4 different variations, vertical and horizontal at different positions. So I'm going to place one system right here. I'm going to place another system right there. And you can see as I place these graphical systems, the system logically captures again the information associated with them. So in this conveyor system here, you've got a cylinder, you've got 2 sensors, and you've got your motor. And if I look closer to these objects, you can see that the information behind them carries all the information needed for quoting, how much time it's needed to build, to plan, to program, and what it's going to cost. Now I'm going to add a couple of more devices, such as a turntable. I'm going to place my turntable right here. I'm going to add a couple of robots. So I've got a robot system here. Using the tab key, I can orient the robot however I need to. I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put one here. And using my tab key, I'm going to put an oriented robot right here and another one down there. So now what's happening is you're doing a graphical pre-planning. A graphical pre-planning means you're using graphical objects, not just graphical objects, intelligent graphical objects that carry a lot of data with them. And this data can be data regarding bidding or quoting aspects, but also information regarding the PLC layout. So if I just took this system and I decided to go to my pre-planning report, and I would update that report with the new information, now you could see the entire quote or the bid for that particular system. You'd have your cylinders, your light barriers, your conveyors, your robots, and everything is added up to a total sum here at the bottom. And you can see here $84,000 for that system with a couple of robots associated with them. So this is just to give you an idea how pre-planning using intelligent graphical objects can really help you leverage speed and accuracy in quoting specific control systems. Now, the huge benefit is not only it helps you to quote it, But in addition to that, if I look beyond the robot system as an object here in my overview, I can see I have macros associated with it. And these macros can show me what the circuit diagram would look like for a schematic implementation. So not only I have the object for quoting and bidding, but also once I've won the bid, because I'm so accurate and efficient at it, I can also straight away use the information to drive my detail engineering all the way to the panel build and panel manufacturing aspect. So you can add as many different types of blocks. Like, for example, I've got a motor here. If I need to add an additional motor on that particular segment, I can just pop it right here and assign that motor to my second conveyor, for example. Just take it there and hit OK. If I had to choose the size of the motor, I could size it right here. And again, that motor could come with a lot of pre-planning information. I can also select a cylinder. Here's a pneumatic cylinder, and this pneumatic cylinder could also be positioned where I need it graphically, and it also logically is added to the tree or to my structure. I could have some sensors, for example, I need some proximity sensors, and I could just simply drop them here and here, wherever I need them for my particular application. Yeah. So a graphical pre-planning is not much different than what you might be used to today using CAD applications. However, there's a huge difference because the CAD blocks or the graphical blocks, as you understand them, now carry a lot of data with them. And not just bidding data, also graphical data, also logical data, PLC data, and wiring data associated to them. So a lot of information is now tied to these objects and can help you generate quotes a lot more faster, a lot more accurate. And on top of that, by doing that, not only you have a quote, but also you've got an initial view on what the system could look like. So conversations with your customer can be at a complete different level where he can visually see what you mean by the quote that you just provided, making the whole process a lot easier. So this kind of summarizes the approach of how pre-planning, the Eplan solution pre-planning could be used to help companies or engineering generate quotes or capture quoting information a lot more accurately and a lot more efficiently. And again, by the fact that you store these objects in templates, that helps you to remove the experienced aspect where you have to have that person that's done it multiple times and knows exactly the ins and outs to be able to quote the system. The ins and outs of that person are stored in that particular block in the actuator, and all of the information is there, so the user can just drag that information onto the drawing and just leverage that data and just use it from there on forward, knowing that based on the library it's accurate. On this note, I would like to now open the session to questions. So there is a Q&A panel. If you want to open that Q&A panel and you can start asking questions. I'm going to look at the Q&A panel and see if we have any questions in there. So if I want to explain to my boss what Eplan can do, what is the best way to do that? I like the more pragmatic approach of keeping things simple. And if you if you use CAD today, let's say you use AutoCAD, the approach to that is that, yes, you can do the same work, the result is the same, the difference is the time that it takes to get there. So if you have a project that you need, for example, 3-4 weeks to design, with Eplan, it would literally take less than a week. So the amount of time that it takes to design is really your huge benefactor there, where it's your ROI. Of course, it will take a bit of time to set up and to get to add the blocks that you need and to set up the environment correctly, but you don't have to do it all at once. You can go project by project. So let's say you have one project coming in, you attack that project with Eplan, you develop the blocks that you need for that particular project. Now you look at the next project and suddenly a quarter of those blocks, if not half of those blocks, are already available and you don't have to redevelop them. You can just use them and leverage that benefit suddenly. So it's an incremental process to gain the absolute ROI, but there's no doubt in my mind that the way that people traditionally approach an engineering project today from a graphical perspective is not the way to do it in the future, especially if people want to stay competitive and not spend so much time in the engineering process. So if you use other tools like maybe AutoCAD Electrical or even SolidWorks Electrical, the challenge there is, again, is the bottleneck is the underlying tool. These are two mechanical systems that are used as a starting point to do electrical. If you look at AutoCAD Electrical, for example, you will see that it's AutoCAD with a whole bunch of scripts and add-ons on top of it, which make the whole system AutoCAD very fragile in the sense of, what if I add a block which is not AutoCAD Electrical in there, and then you can break the system. So there's a certain amount of fragility in there, and you have to be very meticulous and structured to be able to stay there. Eplan is not that at all. Eplan is really just a database where you just start capturing your data, and if ever you made one mistake, you fix it in one spot and update everything else. So it's very streamlined in the approach to controls design. And as I said, if you want to save time in controls design, really Eplan is the way to move forward with it. Simply what other software packages Eplan in a sense combines into one platform. So pre-planning is one where you have a specific structured tree that allows you to create objects and intelligent objects up front. The second software tool is Eplan Fluid. In this same environment, I'm just going to create a new page, and this page is going to be page 5, but it's not going to be a pre-planning page. It's going to be a fluid power schematics page. So here you could do things like pneumatic diagrams, you could do things like hydraulic diagrams, you could do cooling diagrams or lubrication diagrams. So here you would just open up the page. I can insert some symbols. I'm going to see if we have all the libraries needed in this case. So here you've got your pneumatic library, and you can see your fluid power library with your valves. Here you have a unidirectional valve, for example, so you can just simply drop it in there, and you can start laying out your entire pneumatic system. You can either do it symbol by symbol, or you can use a macro to start combining multiple different symbols. In this case, I'm just going to place a valve, and then I can select what type of solenoid I'm going to use for it, and then it's going to adapt the symbology associated with it. So now this is not a wire, it's considered a tube because it's carrying air. But behind that symbol, you can also add your part numbers, and you can store all of your information regarding your bill of materials, as well as your components for the 3D layouts. Then you have your electrical P8, which is your electrical circuitry. So this solenoid needs to be wired up. So if we go to a multi-line page here, schematic multi-line, schematic. Now I could go to the devices that I created. There's my coil, for example. There's my control valve. Where's that coil? It's actually here. Now where is it? Directional control valve. Let me go back to my page here. I'm going to, oh, that's a graphical object. I need to change it to a cross-reference. So now I can view that device in here. And this device, I can now use it in my electrical drawing. So if I went to my electrical page, I went back to my tree, I could simply drag this object in here and use it as a, this one here, and use it as a coil in my circuit diagram. So the thing is, the platform provides you multiple different software, so you can have pneumatic, hydraulic, electric, and also your 3D panel layout all in one environment. So here, if I create a new layout space, I didn't really change software, I'm just in the same software, but now I can go into my 3D space and design my control cabinet in 3D. So I could insert here an enclosure, select the part number, and drag and drop that component in there very easily. Let me see if this has a 3D. Yep. I'll take this part, for example, and there we go. So depending on the detail, you can have more or less detail, but now you could identify the backplate and you can start dropping the components in. So you already saw pre-planning for your preliminary planning and layout of your system, hydraulics, pneumatics, which is Eplan fluid. You have Eplan electric P8 for the controls design. Then you have Pro Panel, Pro Cabinet, and those are the major software. You also have Eplan harness if you have harness design requirements, and you have the data portal, of course. The data portal provides you with components for your environment. So if I'm here in the data portal, I can navigate the list of manufacturers, whether it's Allen Bradley, whether it's ABB, whether it's Delta or anybody else. Look for parts. So we can go here to Eaton, for example. I can look at the Eaton catalog. And now we've got electrical products. In this case, we got fuse and fuse holders. And here there's a couple of fuses. So here's the device, and I could use this device directly into my schematics, for example. So the data portal is another application that ties into this environment. But as you noticed, I stayed always in the same environment, same menus, same layout, just maybe different navigators, different views, different page types that help you to manage the data for your entire control system in one environment. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and make sure to stop by the Eplan Experience booth at the Rockwell Automation Fair at home and get more information about the exciting products and solutions that we have to offer.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Debbie Raimundo, and I am the marketing lead here at Eplan USA. Thank you so much for joining our Eplan Live channel at the Rockwell Automation Fair at Home. I hope you're enjoying the event, and I hope you've had time to stop by our virtual booth. So today, our topic is focused on partners and success. Joining us today here at our Eplan Live channel is our Eplan account manager, Bart Nieber. And then we also have Jason Kaur, who is our business development leader at Warner Electric, who is a Midwest electric supply and solutions provider, and also good partners with Rockwell Automation. So I'm going to go ahead and let these guys introduce themselves, and we're going to go ahead and get started with the conversation.
Hi, I'm Jason Kaur. I work for Warner Electric Supply Company. I've been an employee with them since 1996. Warner Electric has been around for 72 years, so we're a very established electrical supplier with where it started. And then when Rockwell Automation took that over, we obviously stayed in good standing as a distributorship for Rockwell Automation. I started as a technical support person. At the ground level, we were just building up a technical support department because of the advent of the internet and a higher demand for automation. So I stayed in that role, then developed myself into HMI and software, where I then moved into a product management position. And currently I'm working as a business development leader here at Warner to make sure partnerships with our customers and vendors go off without a hitch, and that we can supply what is needed to our customers to create a very value-added service for them.
Yeah, and I am Bart Nieber, so I am the account manager for Eplan in the Upper Midwest. So I've been with Eplan for a little over a year, and I cover Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Nebraska. So not only do I work directly with customers, but I also work through our partner network, like Warner Electric. All right, Jason, thank you for that background on Warner Electric. Obviously, we've been working together for about 9 months now, and Warner Electric was one of the first Eplan partners. What was the value that you saw in Eplan for your customers, and how did the partnership with Eplan come about?
That's a good question. We always are looking for new products and services that we can offer to our customers. We have a vision statement, which is the relentless pursuit of exceptional customer experiences. So we're always looking for new technologies, things that can improve our customers' ability to go to market, to be more efficient and effective for their customers, as we are more or less business to business type supplier. So with that, we were actually approached by Eplan. We had saw that as an Encompass partner in the past, but the go-to-market had changed, and he decided to go through distribution, which we thought was a good idea. We did some investigation. Eplan was a best-in-class type of solution for electrical design, and how you were partnering, having a digital partnership with Rockwell Automation. We thought it would fit Warner Electric's portfolio very well, with a lot of opportunities on our customer base to use that solution to enhance what they can do and move into the future, right? In the digital age, the digital experience, Internet of Things, all of that kind of gets rolled under the hood of Eplan with what they have today and where they're going in the future.
Perfect. Yeah, and how would you obviously we're still early on in the partnership, but how would you say that overall Eplan has been perceived or received by your customers as you've had these initial conversations and started to really dive in with your customer base?
I would say that it's being received very well. People, of course, have to do their due diligence and look into the product. It is a commitment to the customer, so they have to have a good vision going forward and understand the quality and the investment that it takes to get a solution that will drive your business forward and get you to where you need to be competitively and future state. So I believe it gives a good advantage to those using it as efficiency. they're very much able to, those have who we have had investigated so far have done return on investment calculations and have decided to move forward on it. So they understand the investment and the importance of it, but they're able to take what they know with your help. Bart, as you know, you've done some process assessments for us, and that really comes through with our customers because you're using their data for them to prove what they will save and gain in the partnership with Eplan and with Werner Electric. And Werner Electric is providing a product management position. So we will have localized support, consultation, and services as our partnership grows. And we look forward to that type of relationship. While in the model that we're putting forth to our customer to be that valued partner instead of just another electrical distributor.
Perfect. Yeah, it really kind of goes along with, as we look to for that digital transformation within your customers. So just shifting gears a little bit, obviously we're, because of the fact we're doing this virtually, is all due to the pandemic. And so we've had to do a lot of shifting. I know Eplan has done a lot with the pandemic as far as shifting a lot of our services as far as our training and consulting to be done virtually so that we can still assist our customers. What has Werner all done as the landscape has changed here in the last 6 months to help their customers with this changing work environment?
Well, we've been as accommodating as possible with the customer, as you know, virtually, like we're doing today, a lot of virtual meetings. So getting used to that technology, but also scoping out other technologies that can really help customers in these types of situations. So we were all forced into this due to the pandemic, but I think people were already investigating remote connectivity, ways to do things a little more efficiently and faster without having to travel as much. So the time savings thing. So even though the pandemic kind of forced it on us, I believe the trend was we were moving in that direction. So Eplan in particular has a very good way of doing that. They're already electronically based. So unlike having to shuffle around a bunch of print documents back and forth to different facilities or to different customers, the solution itself lends itself to this type of environment because it's all electronic, it's tied together. There's a web-based portal to pull down the different devices and things you need to build up your electrical design components. The ability to then do the redlining process over either a web portal or just by sending PDF documents back and forth and importing, exporting is huge. So I see this is just how Eplan was almost ahead of the game when it came to having to deal with a crisis such as this. And I believe it opens the eyes of a lot of people, not only during this pandemic, but past it, on how we can do things more efficiently without necessarily having to do things the old way, trying to travel always over to a place. There is something to be said about face-to-face contact, but with everybody's time being a commodity, expertise kind of contracting a little bit today. So a lot of the old expertise is leaving. New expertise is coming in at not as fast a rate. So to have these types of technologies to make things more efficient, to do more with less per se, is a huge plus. So we look forward to using more of these types of technologies, trying to build up solutions. We have a network services solution to help people with their infrastructures, to help support these types of remote connectivities and solutions like Eplan. So we definitely embrace the challenge, and I think we've done a heck of a job trying to get what our customers need in this difficult time and in this odd environment that we live in right now.
Yeah, most definitely. And yeah, I know you're definitely correct, is that we were ahead of the curve on a lot of this, as we were already starting to roll out cloud-based services, and those have only continued to do so. It's only going to continue to grow with what we're able to offer in the digital workplace that we're now in. So.
Yeah, and it's been the support we receive from Eplan has been we have whatever issues or solutions we need to get to, or people that have to switch meetings due to one thing or another because of the pandemic, because of whatever that situation is. Eplan has been very versatile in making sure that Werner as a distributor is covered, that our customers are covered, that you're working with us to develop who we think would benefit from these types of solutions, and then work forward in the future. So you guys done a very good job on being the support needed for vendors such as Werner Electric. We have 11 different branches, as you know, that we have spread out over Wisconsin and part of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So it's very important to us that we get that kind of support in the back end. So aligning right with Rockwell, you guys are doing a heck of a job helping us out there as well.
All right. So obviously, we talked a little bit about Eplan cloud-based solutions, and Eplan has done a lot to, as we said earlier, Eplan has done a lot to continue to grow those solutions. And one of the goals there is, as we look at the future of automation, is we want to make sure that we can share information throughout the design process, that we're not just waiting until the end to then review drawings. We've created ways with our thing like eView to be able to actually share and collaborate on drawings as you go through the design process. Also within Eplan, there's obviously the automatic exports to things like wire terminal machines and CNC machines, so that people like Werner can provide panels as we're able to create a true towards the future.
So we see more trends on people looking to Werner to assist in some of the service offerings. You kind of alluded to one of them would be be able to drill the holes to cut out custom panel doors, so the customer can then get these enclosures and be ready to install and go to market faster, right? Getting manufacturing done, get it out the door. So we are looking for solutions beyond that. Other trends that I see in the industry outside of just the electrical design piece, we are at Automation Fair at Home, so a large aspect of what our customers are looking into towards the future would be the industrial Internet of Things, the IoT. So Rockwell does have the partnership with a PTC now, the Vuforia, the ThingWorks level. So not only in that IoT space, but also augmented reality. So IoT will connect everything up. We have large OEM base looking to monitor their machines more effectively, having to send people out to service the machines less, only when needed. If somebody can troubleshoot over the phone or over an internet connection with a video camera to the service tech at the customer, that helps everybody, right? Because they don't have to send a large bill. The service tech learns something, and everything is done more efficiently. So that's a huge part of the solution. And then when you put augmented reality on top of that with Vuforia and other technologies, you're able to do training better. So I had talked about the transfer of knowledge, the old guard leaving, the new people coming in, and how there's kind of a lack of a one-to-one relationship there. So we have to train people better and on the fly, because some of not only are the older technicians and engineers retiring, but the knowledge they take with them on some of the older systems that aren't quite migrated up to the newer platforms is also leaving. So in order to cover that, we're finding that augmented reality type solutions where wearable devices or even a tablet to have videos with overlays of how things are done and taken apart, put together, heads up type displays really is helping people look beyond the old way of training and doing solutions. The other thing is having an insight into your factory. So a lot of people are looking at OEE, they have been for a long time, to improve their production efficiencies on a manufacturing end, or even while building machines. So that has always been at the forefront, but now with the advent again of IoT and more advanced analytics and things like machine learning and artificial intelligence, Rockwell cutting edge with their innovation suite. They're able to pull in the information and mash it up with the technologies they offer where you don't necessarily have to have a data science degree to get this done. Once the system is set up, it is usable to get functional analytics out of it without having to do a lot of the things that people have done in the past in order to get these processes to work, to get the answers they need. So the artificial intelligence modules that Rockwell is putting out, the analytics engines behind the scenes, the factory talk metrics for the OEE calculations being brought in with ThingWorx to be able to have a larger, more modern system, then taking that information, using it proactively to make your systems better, to make the manufacturing process smoother, is a huge plus. The other thing that we're looking at is uptime, right? OEE is huge on keeping your machines up and running. So in order to do that, people are looking at preventative maintenance, monitoring the machines for vibration and other things that where they start going out of tolerances, you're alerted prior to them going out, so you can do the maintenance more efficiently, effectively, more planned to reduce your downtimes and increase efficiencies and of course profitability. So that's kind of the trends that I'm seeing in manufacturing, in even machine building. We have a large machine builder presence, so they're taking a lot of these new technologies to heart, investigating them, doing their due diligence, but then investing in them, making sure that they can move forward. So Eplan is just one more piece of that puzzle. So that digital experience, that digital transformation, really the design piece is fitting in with Eplan, and it complements all the other offerings from Rockwell Automation. And other Encompass partners. You'd mentioned digital twin. There is also the simulation environment for partners like ANSYS and other people. So it's a huge scope of product and breadth of technology to wrap your head around, but there's definitely a solution out there for everyone, and you just have to take the time to look into it, understand what it brings to the table, what business issues it's going to answer for your company. That's key to a lot of these new technologies, is understanding the issues that it's going to solve. Therefore, you can apply it and get your return on investment, get your value for your investment in that technology.
Yeah, and that's a great point when you talk about you mentioned the old guard moving out and having to train in new people, and that's one of the things we had mentioned with Eplan too is. With it being a database-driven system and all the data that can be exported, like the point-to-point wireless, so you're no longer wiring off schematics. You're not training people in to how you read schematics, or taking it even further and using our smart wiring technology, where again you're as you mentioned, wiring off using tablets, things like that. So you're truly just using a digital piece of software to help with the training aspect. To become efficient more quickly compared to, and really shortening that training time. So as you mentioned, another thing that Eplan can bring to the table. So.
Right. And I mean, product development management and product lifecycle management, those are just other things that people are really concentrating on now. And Eplan blends itself to both of those things. The ability to integrate that solution into an ERP system to make things more efficient. Even so, apart from the design side, you also have the quotation side. So by integrating into a business system, Eplan, the quotation side for Salesforce selling certain machines or systems, very much more efficient, more unified, getting that one version of the truth everybody looks for. Being able to expedite the sale to actual realization and get that money rolling in faster. I know it's that's what everybody bottom line is looking to make things more efficient, so profitability goes up. So I believe with the Eplan solution, with a lot of the digital technologies that are out there today, applied correctly and thought out, with a lot of involvement from vendors like yourself, from distributors such as us, where we have a large breadth of technical knowledge, product knowledge that we bring to the table. So it's not just me here working. I have a bunch of brethren and sisters that work in this technological field that help our customers get up to speed, understand the technologies, understand how it can help them move forward and be more effective, more productive, and more profitable.
Thank you guys so much for the great conversation. Thank you, Bart. Thank you, Jason, for joining us today at ePlan Live. I hope everybody has a chance to visit our booths, the Werner booth at Rockwell Automation Fair at Home and the ePlan virtual booth. If you have any questions, that's exactly where you can go to ask us live. We all have people on staff who can answer your questions right away. Other than that, have a fantastic week and we'll see you soon.
I'm Johnny Wilson and welcome to the August edition of the top 5 questions that was submitted to the ePlan Solution Center. How can I draw a structure box with a recess? So I've got 2 structure boxes. The one on the left shows the designation in the structure box recessed with 90 degrees here. So how do I make the one on the right look like the same? So we need to check some settings first. So if you go to the options and then settings, and then we're just going to go to the project and then the name of the project, and then in graphical editing under the general tab, we want to make sure the draw structure box with the recess is checked. So once that is done, then I just double click on the structure box and then I change the value from the left top outside at 0 degrees to the left top inside at 90 degrees like so. So if I click OK, then you can see that this now matches up. To make this setting apply for all the new structure boxes I inserted, I can just double click on it and I can just toggle one of the values. So I like to just change this from bold and then uncheck it, and you can see that now I can save this. So I'm going to give it a new name, so I'm going to call it demo default here, and then if I use it as default from now on and click OK, and if it already exists you can overwrite it like so. If I click OK, then I can insert a new structure box. I'm just going to give it the same name, so I'm going to call it skid and click OK. So you can now see that this one inserts like the other ones do. How can I create a macro project? So to create a macro project, the easiest way is to take a copy of the project you are working on. So here I'm going to go project and then copy, and then I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to call this top 5 macros. And then I'm just going to go for only interactive pages and then click OK. And now I've got a copy of the project. The only thing I need to change to make this into a macro project is to right click and go to properties and change the type of project from schematic to macro project. When I insert an accessory in Pro Panel, how do I change the orientation? So I'm going to drag this terminal cover in here and snap it to the top, and you can see that the rotation of this accessory is correct. If I try and place it on the bottom, you can see that it does not rotate as expected. So you can manually rotate this by pressing Ctrl Shift and R and press it again to get it upside down. And then when I place it, you can see it's going to snap there correctly. We can make an adjustment to this macro, so it will always place the accessory in the correct orientation. So to do this, what I can do is I can cut this device from the cabinet, and it's going to ask me for a base point. I'm just going to use this one here. And then if I jump to my macro project, which I've got open here, I can go into this new layout space I have created and then just paste it. So it's going to ask me for a base point. It doesn't matter where this is. I'm just going to place it here. And then in the macro project, it's going to show me all the different mounting points on this device. And I can see this bottom one is the one I want to work with. And I can see that the Z-axis is pointing up and away from the device, and then the Y-axis goes up, and this one, the X-axis, goes to the right. So to rotate this, we can just click on the mounting point and go to Edit, Graphic, and then Rotate Around Axis. So the axis I wanted to rotate around is the Z-axis, so I'm just going to click this one here and type 180 degrees. So once I do that, you can see the Y-axis is now pointing down. So when I insert the accessory, it will be placed in the downwards orientation. So once I've done that, I can right-click and go on Properties, and I'm just going to grab the macro name here. So I'm just going to select it all and copy. And then I'm going to go to this new layout space and go to properties down here. I'm just going to paste it in the macro name here. So I'm going to paste the name here also, and this is just because I like to organize it by the actual file name. So I'm going to hit OK. And then once I've done that, I can regenerate this macro. So I can go to project data, macros, generate automatically. Make sure you got the overwrite existing macro box checked and click OK. So now when I go back to my demo project and I place that same device, so if I go to devices, mine was MCB109, I can drag that over like so. And now when I place that terminal cover, I can see that it snaps correctly here and also here. So I don't need to manually rotate it now in the future. I've made changes to a macro, but when I insert the macro, I do not see these changes. I have a simple macro here, and I'm just going to regenerate it by going to project data, macros, and generate automatically. Notice this is variant A. I'm going to go to my schematic project and insert this macro, and then place it here. I'm going to update this macro by taking a copy of it, and then I'm going to paste it below here. I'm going to make a simple modification to it. I'm going to make it 2 lights and wire these ones up here. Like so. I'm going to change the variant to variant B. And then I'm going to regenerate variant B. When I insert this new macro, I should have the options of variant A and variant B, but notice how variant B does not have the additional light. So what is going on? So if I go back to my macro project, I can click on the macro box and right click and go to select associated objects. As you see, only this first circuit is highlighted, so that is what is included in the macro box. We have a few options to correct this. One way is to select everything inside the macro box, like so, and then right click on the macro box and go to assign objects to macro box. So now when I right click on the macro box and go to select associated objects, you can see everything is highlighted. We can also do it a different way. So if I go back a step and change this back to B, and I do my select associated objects again, I'm back to my previous step. So another option is to double click on the macro box and to change this setting here, so manual object assignment. If I uncheck that, Eplan will automatically include everything that is inside the macro box. So if I go to select associated objects here, everything is now included. So I can regenerate variant B by going to project data, macros, generate automatically. Okay, so now when I reinsert the macro, it should be functioning as I expect. So here's variant A and there is variant B. When I insert a macro with a placeholder object, how can I delete or hide these? So here I have a macro that I inserted from the data pool. It came with 2 placeholder objects that I can use to adjust certain values on this macro. Sometimes it's desirable to hide these, and to do that, the easiest way is to change the layer visibility. So to do that, let's go to the project data and then layer management. And the 2 layers that we're interested in is the macro layer here, so Eplan2020 and the placeholder object. So if I just scroll across to the right here and uncheck the visibility, and then also the property placement for the placeholder object down here, and this is Eplan551. I just scroll across and change the visibility, and then I can close out there, and as you can see, they now turn gray. And if I go to view and then turn off invisible elements, now they are hidden.
Welcome to Automation Chat. I'm your host, Teresa Hauk, Executive Editor of the Journal from Rockwell Automation and our partner network magazine. Today I'm talking with reps from Eplan Software and Service, Jeff Kilburn, Managing Director of the U.S. Business, and Thomas Michaels, Global Director with Eplan's Cloud Business Software. We're going to talk about stronger needs for electrical engineers to have remote capabilities because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now let's chat with Jeff and Thomas. Hi, gentlemen. Thanks for talking with me today. I'm happy to dig into this topic with you guys.
Hi, Teresa.
Hi.
So let's start with, I'm wondering, this year especially, many companies have been launched into change, obviously, and engineering processes can be challenging enough to update, and now they need to add a remote element to their workflows. So how have your users reacted to this shift, and how have you supported that?
Well, I guess the first comment I would make is what we've seen, and we've seen this even in our own business, is that it really, it was so drastic and so immediate that, it really kind of exposed some underlying and existing challenges that we've always had that maybe we just never got around to addressing. And, as an example, we had to shift from a complete a way of doing business in the fact that we deliver all of our services, our training and our consulting services direct to our customers in a classroom environment, either on their premises or on ours. We had to shift completely to online. And so we saw the challenges that we had, and we hear customers saying very similar things in their own business operations.
I think that the situation makes some point very obvious, so that it's I think extremely important to think about these things or the topics of digitalization. So because the people and our customers are now forced maybe to work in a distributed environment, for example. And that makes it even more, really accelerates the thinking in working in a digital environment, so that everybody gets the information he needs, and that a distributed collaboration is possible. Yeah. So therefore they also have to rethink the way they work, and they adapted it quite quickly. Yeah. So they really, as you said, Jeff, they accepted these online services quite well, and within these services we learned a lot, that they are really quickly switching from working all together in one side in the office to go distributed and really work together in a more digital way. Yeah. So online and in distributed workspaces.
Obviously it was an immediate shift, and it was very reactionary. We're now taking, and I see our customers taking the chance to now learn from what we've been through and think about what we've done, what worked, what didn't work, and adapt. And I see some very creative thinking. I also see some customers taking the opportunity to actually really enhance and embrace the change that was thrust upon us. Yeah. And to, as you said, Thomas, really rethink what they're doing and say, this worked. Let's pull that thread a little bit more. Let's see what else we can do. And they're getting very creative about the ways they're doing things, and the change that they see going forward is very exciting for many of them.
So they're using new tools and new processes that actually will benefit them whenever this ends.
Yeah, I mean, just as an example, Teresa, the reaction we've had to the online services we deliver is it's maybe counterintuitive that they feel closer to us, that we can spend more time with them, that we're faster to respond. We don't have to fly someone somewhere. They don't have to travel to a common location. So the speed and believe it or not, the intimacy they get, even through the digital, has been welcomed by our customers, and they by and large, it's been a great experience they've told us through feedback that they like this. And so we intend to change our business, and we see many customers changing how they're going to do business in the future.
And many teams are supportive in teaching progressive behaviors for their electrical engineers, so cloud-based platforms are a natural upgrade. But what about the folks who are skeptical about working in the cloud? Does this happen a lot? and what are some of the challenges they're facing?
I think one very obvious aspect is, of course, that when it comes to this topic of cloud, people often, or our customers often, think about their intellectual property and the risk that maybe information is leaving the company that should not, for example. And so I think it's a major topic, really, not to think about just, okay, cloud because it's a nice and fancy technology and it's just a technology. It's really about the added value for the user and for the customer. So if you can explain that, for example, bringing up, let's talk about electrical engineering and the project data, the typical automation documentation in a cloud environment, and therefore makes it much easier to collaborate. And now, again, referring to your first question, move a little bit away from the comfort zone, sending around things by email or whatever. Now have really the step to have it globally available, makes it much easier to collaborate. And then it's, again, the added value and the risk, so to say. And now it makes people to think about what they are already doing in cloud-based. Maybe all the financial transactions, etc., are done in web services and online banking and so on. And now they really also make this to adapt it to their working environment quite easy. Yeah? And of course, it's a stepwise approach. It's not from now to then to really make it in one step, but really think about different tasks they have to do, workflow scenarios, collaboration scenarios, and then really put the cloud services in that really support these things better than local things. Yeah.
My comment here to add on to what you just said would be that, with the crisis that we've been put through here, continuing to go through, people are rethinking that balance between risk and benefit and what's the value. And they're seeing the value because necessarily so we had to do some things, and they involve things like what we're doing today here. And I think also, it's a long-term trend. As you said, our own personal situation. I mean, I get notification when my credit card gets charged for anything, whether my wife likes that or not. That's the truth of it, right? It's immediate, it's accurate, and you think in the engineering world, the analogous is, we're emailing spreadsheets and drawings back and forth, and what's the most current, and the delays and mistakes that are involved there. If you can have, and we hear this more and more from customers, a single source of truth that everyone can collaborate on, that's accessible from anywhere, it's of high value. And they're seeing that in this pandemic arena where we've had to adapt. And I think now minds are more and more open, and they're reevaluating this risk-reward situation with cloud.
Yeah, here in the publishing world with our magazine, The Journal, we switched to cloud a couple years ago, and there was some rumbling at the time. But now everyone's like, how did we function without it?
Yeah.
It's so much more productive.
Yeah.
I think we already made the steps, or customers do these steps already when they want to get data. So when, for example, I just pick out something where we're also in deep collaboration with Rockwell as well, so that we say we have this data portal to provide component data that is maybe the smallest unit in an automation project. Everybody is already somehow familiar with downloading that data and get it from a central spot. But again, sharing the project data, so the own IP, this is maybe a next step. But now people are somehow a little bit forced to do this because they now work distributed, and maybe they have a redlining process that cannot be done in the office, quick with a view on the monitor. They have to share the data. And now they get open to think about, hey, when I get data via cloud, I can also distribute it. Of course, control the access to the data, but then I can speed up my workflow. Yeah, so that is, I think, just a thing that is pushed, by this current situation.
Yeah, and when you talk about speed, it's it goes from you can draw different value just from the planning stages where you're cooperating on what is the automation solution going to become, through the building stage, even through the the runtime and operation and maintenance phases where you can do, we always have the challenge of, as built drawings, how about as commissioned as service drawings, and the cloud technology can enable that. and can maintain that record of single source of truth. And just the sheer speed and accuracy delivers amazing value to customers, and it really changes that risk-reward behavior or thought process. And the other comment I make in this is I also think that the younger people have grown up with this technology, and they're much more adaptive to it. So as we see the demographic shift, I think the adoption is going to accelerate. And given this change that we've been through, it just is the catalyst for this dramatic, I think, shift in speed to move to more cloud solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you talk about speed, that's an important point. There are some manufacturers who have kept their plant floors busy by producing products that support the COVID-19 pandemic efforts. Good for them. But in turn, their electrical and automation suppliers also have had to really ramp up production. So how do you see the market adapting to this faster pace?
It's a challenge, I think in the months that we've gone through here since the pandemic hit, we've seen some people that had to ramp up really fast to meet a critical need. You can think of toilet tissue and some food products and things like that. People eating at home more and things. But then that spike is now calmed down. So we've seen dramatic increases in urgency needs. We've also seen people that are on the other end of the spectrum that had to cost control. So we've seen it all over the board. But the ability to react fast to a changing environment and is really driven home some differences and changes in behavior. And so this idea of how do we keep control of what's going on, but also enhance the collaboration and keep in contact with everybody, it's been a continuous challenge for everyone involved.
I just want to add one aspect that I think you ask how the customers react or how they try to cover this change of speed. I think it's also always necessary, and we get this customer feedback extremely, that they say, okay, we need somehow steps, so small steps. It's not the maybe months or for even years running projects, and then they say, hey, we finally have an outcome. So it's the small steps to have first effects and first positive speed ups in the engineering process, and therefore it's, I think, also a little bit connected to this cloud topic or to the app topic, that we say, hey, we have dedicated tools for special steps in the engineering workflow, and this can be implemented quite fast. And then, of course, you have also the effect already. Yeah, you can feel it. Yeah, what is it really? What is the added value in the process? When we think along a value chain, that we have a lot of different people working together in such an engineering process. It's not only about the availability of data, but it's also about the way how you present and how you offer the data to an engineer. Needs totally different appearance of the data than a guy in the workshop, for example. Yeah. So and this is also a thing what we are really stressing, that we say, okay, the one is working together, but the other thing is the availability of the data and the presentation of the data. Because if you make something more complex for a guy who wants to be part of a digital workflow, you will not have the effect in speeding up this thing. Yeah. So and therefore it's really critical, and it's really important to involve these people and present the data how they need it, and maybe how they are used to work with the data.
Yeah, and it seems like there are some companies out there who might not be ready for a full set of automated processes. Do you think there are enough options that also support the traditional methods that many teams rely on?
I mean, kind of building on what Thomas said, when I think about automation of processes, that's always desirable because there's a lot of, efficiencies involved in that. But certainly I think everyone is always and continues to strive to develop standardized forms of how they do their work and their workflows, and everyone's on that path. What's a challenge, and I think, again, going back to the previous discussion we had, with this crisis thrust upon us, we all have to work remote, as we've seen some of the limitations of the tools that we've been using for the past 35 years. where you know you're emailing spreadsheets and drawings back and forth versus viewing a set of data, or being able to keep that thread of data from one discipline to another. And these are what modern tools can help deliver, and that eventually leads to automation. But there's to the point of your question, Teresa, there are lots of steps to be done here, and we see customers that are now have seen the advantages of some of the new technologies, and are, I think, ready to reevaluate. Okay, it's time to actually make a move here, and there's lots of steps to take them from where they are today to get them to where they want to be, to a more automated future. And I think about Eplan and Rockwell just as an example in the automation space. One of the challenges is always to keep the electrical engineering and the control engineering for the PLC program and HMI program, to keep that all in sync. Whether you're doing it all yourself or whether there's a couple of different people involved, it's always a challenge to transfer that data and keep that continuity there. And that's a predecessor to any kind of automation. You have to have that continuity of data and standardize the way you're working. And so that's what I think we have a lot of customers that are now taking that step on the journey, where maybe time or just necessity didn't allow them to take those first steps in that process.
Yeah. I think the overall somehow the approach is generally really to understand what is the current situation or the current workflow, and maybe the most challenging things inside the customer's workflow, and then really together with the customer to define these first steps. Mm-hmm. But not only the first steps, but also the goals you want to reach, and then really go ahead and maybe it's first of all, it's just to make the customers aware of solutions, as you described, Jeff, that are already available in the market, and are maybe just based on interfacing that offers better collaboration, or just takes away some standard work from people re-editing data or whatever. So really start with small things, and as I said in my maybe beginning of my speech, to say, hey, it's not to build up these big ideas of maybe just pressing a button and the automation system is done. It's a long way, and it's really doing step by step. Yeah, and maybe the first steps are really using tools that maybe improve parts of the project, makes it easier to exchange data. And then, as I said, motivation is coming by first positive effects, and then the people really they want to grow and go ahead because they are motivated because of the benefit they really feel in their daily business.
Yeah, and I mean, I see with automation, standardization has to necessarily come first, and many of our customers have been on that path for a long time. What some of the new modern tools offer, and the collaboration, for instance, between Eplan and Rockwell, is to avoid that copy paste of the past, or that re-entry of data from one discipline to another, and to really start from building blocks. Yeah, and whether it's a set of common code or common circuits, or even just a common parts. As you mentioned, the Eplan data portal as a source for customers, to get that quickly, to make, to have it always up to date and accurate, and to build it from common standardized pieces. Those are the step-by-step processes to get you from where you are today to a higher level of let's say, efficiencies and toward a more automated solution development. And customers, we see them on all sorts of parts of that path, and that's what we do every day, is to help the customers to find their own unique steps as they move forward.
Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you. It was really a pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you, Teresa. Our pleasure.
Hello, my name is Debbie Raimundo, and I am the marketing lead for Eplan USA. Joining me today are some team members out of the Houston office, who are Alessandro Biondi, Kruno Kanohorsky, and Reem Elasu.
Okay, speaking about best memories with Eplan, obviously it's always great if you see customers succeed. Right? On a private base, what Eplan offers us is a lot of traveling. I've been in my life with Eplan already at 11 different countries. It's data for customer visits, for fairs like the Rockwell Fair, or for company meetings. If I have to summarize what the best memory was at Eplan, when I first traveled to the United States and saw the Chicago skyline for the very first time, then I thought, yeah, I'm here.
All right, so if you ask me what is my best memory working at Eplan, well, that's actually a tough question to answer because I have too many memories to share. But the top two, I would say, the global sales meeting that we had last year in Germany. So that gave us the chance to meet the Eplan colleagues from all over the world. So Eplan China, Brazil, Germany, France. So yeah, it was very good to meet all the people behind the screens coming from different countries, see what they do and what they recommend from their side. The second good memory that I have is actually for my team here in Houston, when I was pregnant and I was craving Chick-fil-A all the time. So I made the guys go to Chick-fil-A every other day to have the same thing for at least 3 months, and no one complained. So yeah, I'm definitely blessed to have these guys working with me in the same office.
One of my favorite memories of working with Eplan was when I was relatively new and I attended the Rockwell Automation Fair in Chicago. It was really impressive to see the size. I'd always been at events as an attendee, but never as a participant in the event, and it was really cool to see customers all over from the U.S. Obviously, we're in Houston and we deal with our customers here, but to see other industries that are not prominent here in the local area, and just see the organization as well. That was a really cool memory that I can probably pinpoint. And then obviously the day-to-day, one of my favorite parts of working with Eplan is primarily the people, the team that we have here in Houston, and also all across the U.S. Really ambitious and driven team. And everybody is really on the same page and trying to help our customers, which is really nice.
So my favorite part of work with Eplan is diversity. Every week is different than the previous week. Every new week we discuss solutions for our customers with our colleagues. We have an amazing team here in Houston with sales, inside sales, and professional services. We're working tightly together, and yeah, that's why it's really awesome.
One of the coolest or greatest thing that I think our customers get from Eplan is not only the state-of-the-art technology that we provide and the solutions, but it's also the benefit that they get from our also the knowledge of our team, and myself, Reem, and Kruno, we really engage with our customers, and they get the benefit of all of our combined experiences, and they can really leverage our experience, our know-how to help them optimize their own processes and ultimately benefiting their business.
So my answer definitely will complete what Alessandro and Kruno said. It's the diversity that's my favorite part working at Eplan. So either whenever we're talking about the team, so we have different academic backgrounds, different knowledges, and so on. And also whenever we're working with customers, we have different types of customers, different ecosystem parts. So we see small panel shops, we see the big multi-international companies. So they come in different sizes and different technologies. It's that diversity when it comes to day-to-day business that's definitely keep us enthusiastic and excited about doing what we do.
The coolest benefit what customer can get out of Eplan is people. People who care about the success and efficiency of our customers, and ultimately people who become friends.
If I had to highlight a booth area this year, I really think it would be something, the webinars, videos, and podcast section. I know we make strides to put out a lot more how-to videos, content, really good experiences also from our customers and our podcasts, kind of learning from their successes, their mistakes, and learn from our customers and their own journey with Eplan. So I really think check that part out in our booth.
One of the main benefits that our customers can take advantage of is actually the collaboration that Eplan provides them with. So the collaboration between engineers, the communication that becomes easier for them to exchange the data, the collaboration between departments. So let's say manufacturing and electrical department, the collaboration between them and Eplan as a staff as well. So that's a key benefit that we provide to our customers to help them succeed. I would always recommend visiting the live webcast or the live chat. So that's a good benefit that you can get out of the fairs, because you have direct contact with the experts. You can talk to them, ask them direct questions, and they'll answer you right away. And that's definitely something that I would take advantage of whenever I have the chance to.
So I would recommend our customers who are visiting our booth to check out first the virtual chat with our desk in order to get informed of what they're looking for and what kind of solutions do we offer at our automation fair. Thanks for participating this year.
Hey, I'm Johnny Wilson with Eplan USA. I hope you're enjoying the Rockwell Automation Fair at home. I'm going to be talking about the seamless bill of materials today. If you've got any questions, please post them up in chat. And now let's begin. So today I'm going to be talking about how Eplan integrates with its bill of materials, utilizing its parts database, and how we can automate a few things. So what I'm going to do to begin with, I'm going to create a new project. So when I'm going to create this project, I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to call it demo for the forum here. And I'm going to use a template. I made this template earlier this morning, and it's just a basic project that includes a couple of reports, a title page, or I think it's a table of contents, and a schematic page. So you can set these up, and typically companies would have one company-wide and a setup, and they can just begin engineering, and everything's at their standard. So let's hit OK. And it's just going to create a project, and it's going to prompt us to insert all the information we need for our project. So since Eplan is a database-driven system, anything we insert here we can pull out no matter where we are in the project. So we can grab this information and put on tile blocks, etc. So very nice features here. So opening up a page here, I'm going to grab this electrical schematic page. And this is just my incoming power. So I drew this page earlier and I just placed symbols around. So to insert symbols, these are the very basic steps in Eplan. We can go to insert and symbol, and we can have a look through the large symbol libraries that come shipped as default with Eplan. We do cover NFPA and IEC, and we've got symbol libraries for them both. We also, if you have the fluid add-on, we can do hydraulics, pneumatics, all that nice stuff. So digging down in this symbol library, I can plus down and navigate, and you can see each one is in its own category. And they've broken them down into easy to read and easy to find symbols. So if I'm after this fuse that I'm looking for, I'm going to look for this protection device, and you can see I can see all the different types of protective devices. I can still plus down, and I want a safety fuse, and I'm just drilling down and eliminating all the other things I don't need. So I want a triple fuse, so I've got these different styles. So eventually I'll get to the one I want. So lots of options for different ways to represent symbols. So I want to hit OK, and then I want to insert it. So this is the auto connect feature. You can see these red lines coming off when I get it in line. I can drag it around like so. So very quick, you don't have to manually draw these lines, it'll just auto connect for you. So I'm going to place this device here, and it's going to get a number. So this number here, 128, because I'm in column, in row 128 here. So auto numbering feature there. So let's look at the part information that is on this symbol. So right now, since we only insert a symbol, we don't have any part information. It's very easy to assign the part information by going up here and clicking the three ellipses. And when we do that, we can now start browsing the parts database. So I'm running a SQL database, as you can see up here. I'm running SQL Express. It also ships with an Access database. We recommend going with SQL. We can build them out faster, and they can make larger databases with them. So I'm going to drill through my SQL database. It's arranged in this format, and I'm going to use a protective device again here. I'm going to use an Allen Bradley and use this 3-pole fuse holder. In the database, there's a bunch of useful information. You can fill it in as much or as little as you want. So here's just all the basic stuff like part number, the manufacturer, the description here. If we look at the mounting information, we can see we've got some width, height, and depth. So these attributes can be used when you're using 3D components here, and we'll get the right sizes here. We've got graphical macros and an image file that's been attached to this particular part. So all this information, when we apply it to this symbol, we're going to get all of this through. So let's press OK. So now this part has been assigned to this symbol, and you can see all the information here on the right hand side. So here's the image file I discussed, which has been displayed here. I also have the rating of this fuse holder, so 30 amps. And it's also got the height, width, and depth again, which I showed you earlier. So all this information gets assigned to this part here. can also have a look at the parts reference data. So this is additional information you can add if you need to make this particular device slightly different versus the part. So we can also right click here and open the hyperlinks that have been assigned to it. So here we have the image file and also an external document. What I mean by external document is maybe a PDF or a website that you can assign as a hyperlink. So I'm going to click here and it's going to bring up the data sheet here. So this is good to see. You don't have to go hunting for the data sheets anymore. You can instantly just grab them and have a look when designing your system. So I'm just going to close that, and then I'm going to assign some fuses as well. So I'm going to do the same. I can go back in my parts database and grab this Eaton fuse, click OK. Let's change the quantity up to 3 since we're in a 3-pole fuse holder, and then click OK. So if I generate my bill of material now, so I go to Utilities, Reports, and Generate, I've already pre-populated this particular template with some reports. So if I use this new button, I can see all the other types of reports that Eplan comes with. So we can do a connection list, a parts list, a potential overview, terminal diagrams, PLC diagrams. There's a whole host of different reports we can generate here. So very flexible. Any report you can think of, we pretty much have. So I want to create this summarized parts list. So I'm just going to click on it and use this generate report. So it's just going to scan through my project and find all the part numbers that have been assigned. So let's have a look what we've got so far. So right now I've only got one part in my project, which is the fuse holder I added and these fuses. You can see that on this particular report I've added a QR code. So this QR code is hyperlinked to the data sheet which I showed you earlier. So scanning with a QR code reader, maybe a mobile phone, will take you to that particular link. So I can do this in Eplan by holding down Control and clicking. So as you can see here, it's opened this browser page with the data sheet here. These forms, these reports are all customizable, and I'll get onto that later, how we can adjust these to show additional information if we need to. So let's carry on adding parts to this page here. There's different ways. I showed you this first way. We can also add a part to this fuse holder in a slightly different method. So if we go to the parts tab again, we've got this tab down here called device selection. If we click on it, Eplan will scan the entire parts database that we have here, and it'll compare it to the symbol that we inserted. And as you can see, it's suggested 3 parts here. So I want to use this first one here and click on it. And what happens here is it matches it up, says, okay, that looks good. And then it also suggests me some accessories. So I've got 2 different types of fuses here. So I want to use this 10 amp fuse. So just by clicking on it, it's going to bring it down here. And then if I use these arrows here, it's going to give me a check mark saying, yep, you're good to go. So I'm going to hit OK. And then let's just change the quantity up to 3 here. So jumping back to my bill of materials, I'm going to start building this up. You can see my fuse holder now is up to 2. And I've got 6 different fuses going on. So Eplan is constantly scanning the project, looking for any changes and updating all your reports. So everything should be in sync. So I've showed you 2 ways to grab parts and add them to symbols. Let's look at grabbing a complete device. So instead of inserting symbols, let's grab something from Eplan's data portal, which is an online repository where we have lots of parts, up to nearly 1 million parts right now, from 300 different manufacturers. So the manufacturers go on here and upload all their parts and fill out all the parts data information that we need. So this could include the dimensions, the 3D files that you need, the images, the descriptions, the part numbers, everything that you can think of to do with a part. So I'm going to browse Rockwell's here. And what's nice about the data portal is they give you an option. So looking at the Eplan catalog style, you can see this is Eplan's arrangement, but we can easily switch this over to the Allen Bradley style. So this is how Allen Bradley arranges their components in their catalogs. So I want to grab this circuit breaker, and I'm just going to look for a 6 amp, I think, and I'm going to insert the part here using this symbol. So I'm going to grab it, an Eplan's going to say it already exists, but let's just overwrite it. And I'm going to grab it, and you can see it's attached to my mouse. So just moving over here, I'm going to place this part here. So I'm just going to drop that there. And as you can see, we have all the data from the part from the data portal. So let's just click here. And you can see that we've got all the information here. So all the parts data, you can see it's a mini circuit breaker. We can see it's Allen Bradley, single pole, all the other information, the sizes. We've got 3D macro here. Okay, so let's close that. So whenever we download a part from the data pool, it will automatically place it into your parts database so you can use it on future projects. So once we have them already downloaded, we can look in our parts database by going to Insert and then Device. So I'm going to insert a power supply, which I downloaded earlier from the data pool. As you can see, this is what it would look like. So let's hit OK. And now it's attached to my mouse. Using the Tab key, I can just rotate it to the direction I want. So I'm going to place that one here, and then I'm going to number it. So I'm starting to build up all my parts in this project. My parts list is beginning to grow. You may come across like an issue where I may have missed a part when I've inserted the symbol. So I know for a fact here I don't have a part number. Don't have a part number on this particular transformer. So I'm missing a few here. Eplan can easily check this by looking at the bill of materials navigator. So by doing that, we can go to project data and then parts and then bill of materials navigator here. So if I just look in here, I'm going to have the parts I've already got in my project here. And I can also look at this one here. So any parts without part number. So I've got some motor overloads, which are over here. So if I just plus down, you can see I've got 3 in this case. So these 3. I've also got a transformer without a part number. So to rectify that, what I can do is I can assign them. So I can assign a part number to this one real quick from this navigator here by easily right-clicking and going to device selection here. And this is the same window we saw earlier. So Eplan scanning the parts database and giving me suggestions. So let's grab this B63 and bring it in like so. So that's brought it in, and now you can see it's now got a part to it. So working through this, I can simply do those steps again. Or what we can do is we can import a device list. So this list here, I've made in Excel, but this could have been provided in a customer's parts list and converted into the format we need. So here I'm showing all the device names, all the part numbers and the quantities. So once we've got it in this format, we can import it into Eplan, and this is pretty flexible. And we can just go to project data, devices, and then import. So what it's going to do is look at the Excel file I was just working in and look at what devices have defined in there. So it's just going to think a minute. So now we've got this window that's opened, and it's looked in the Excel file and seen what parts we created with the DTs. And we saw that these ones already exist. So what we're going to do is we're going to change them and give them part number. So that's what these status ones mean here. So we're assigning part numbers. And then for these ones here with the yellow star, these are new devices that were not existing in the project. So Eplan is going to import them and create new devices. So then they're available for us to use later on. So I'm going to do that and click OK. So import has been successful. So now I don't have any symbols without part numbers assigned to them. So let's go back to our bill of material. You can see we're growing this thing, growing it out. So let's look at how to get parts into our project from a different method. So I want to use Rockwell's Integrated Architect Builder here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this rack I've been laying out in IAB. And you can use Siemens TIA Portal, Phoenix Contact. I think Mitsubishi have one as well. And they're all just system configurators. You can add parts in here, and you can seamlessly transfer them over from these softwares into Eplan. And we're going to use the Automation ML format to do this. So I'll show you that in 1 second. So I'm going to finish up this rack first. So let's add an input card. So an IQ16, I think, is what I want. going to be an IB16. So let's stick that one in slot 3, and then let's grab the output card as well. So an IB16 also, we'll stick that over there. So once I'm happy with my rack, I can then export it to Automation ML. So this format is a markup language that different manufacturers have started to adhere to, and it's a language that every manufacturer can speak. So instead of having proprietary languages that only one manufacturer speaks and having to maintain them, they all agree to start using Automation ML, so data is easily transferred between them. So I've exported this file, so let's import it into our Eplan project. So let's go to project data and then PLC and then navigator. So in here right now, I don't have any PLCs, but let's import it. So I'll go to PLC and then import data. So I'm going to grab the file I created earlier and click OK. I'm going to import all that PLC information. So I've got 5 devices and 2 CPUs. So let's click OK. And you can see that I now have my PLC information here. So this matches up with my IAB project. So again, I'm creating data and I'm seamlessly transitioning between software packages here. So again, if I just update my bill of material, you can see I've got these parts already assigning to it. So that's great. Don't have to maintain these manually. I know it's always in sync. So let's create a new page and let's just grab that PLC input card. So if I go back to my PLC navigator, I can grab slot 2 here, which is my PLC input card. So I'm just going to place that there, which is great. So you can see how fast I can start generating schematics here. I'm going to place my output card over here also. So again, these come straight in from my IAB project. Don't have to draw anything manually at this point in time. Okay, so I talked earlier about how to customize these and how easy it was to customize. So what we can do is go to Utilities, Master Data, Form, and then Copy. So the best practice to do is to copy the original form. So I'm going to find my summarized parts list here. So I'm just going to navigate to it. So summarize parts list. And it was this one here. So let's open it and make a copy. So let's rename it Demo 1. And what I want to do is change this UL field. I want to change this to be the weight. I'm just going to double click and change this to read weight. And then I'm going to copy it and then paste this text here and just run a total down here. So easy to do. We just double click on this particular property and change it from the UL certification here over to the weight. So if we just type in what property we want, which is the weight in this case, and grab that and stick it in here, then we can see this summation box. So in here, we don't want to sum it up. So let's click OK. But where the total is where we want to sum everything up. So if we double click on this one and then go to total. So this form should now work when I want to sum all the weight up. So if I close out of here and I go and modify this report, so instead of using the default form, which is blank right now, I'm going to use this edited one here and then use this generate report to update it. So what you can see now is my column now reads weight, and I'm totaling all the weights that I have in my project right now and displaying it down here. So modification of forms are very easy. Eplan comes with a bunch of built-in ones for ideas, but to modify them, very basic also. So let's look at some 3D environment stuff. So Eplan is great because you can work in either different methods of working. You can draw your schematic first. You could import that list I showed you, this device list. You can also draw in 3D also. So let me show you that workflow. So if we open this cabinet here, so I'm going to just show the mounting cabinet here. So this is the mounting plate where you place all your devices. So let's look at the front of it. I'm going to begin placing some stuff. So let's place some wire ducts to begin with. Again, it's just drag and drop. You don't have to be a modeling expert at this. I'm going to place that there. And let's just drag this one down here. And then I'll place this one here. Let's go to that length here also. And then let's grab another piece of viaduct actually. Close this up. Like so. And then let's add some DIN rail in here. So I'm just drawing relatively quickly here. So what I can do is, when I imported my devices from my list, I had these control relays which didn't exist in my project. So I can go to my device navigator over here and have a look at all the different devices in my project. So this is a list of them. I know these ones aren't placed in my schematic, but I can just drag and drop them over here. Cancel that. We don't need drilling. So this window here is asking if I want to assign a drill pattern to these. So I'm putting them on DIN rail. I don't need any drill patterns. So I'm placing from the device list that I imported from my Excel sheet. You can also work how I did earlier by going to Insert and Device. So if I grab that power supply, and stick that on there also. Again, all the while my bill of material is in sync, so this power supply should have two of them working now. So if I just update this, you can see I've got two power supplies now. So if you're working in 3D, if you're working in the 2D, it's always calculating what's going on and everything's always in sync. So we can generate some other reports. This summarized parts list is probably great for purchasing departments, you know, what total quantities of devices do we want? But this isn't particularly great for the wireman, for instance. So let's see what else we can create for the wireman. If I go to my utilities reports and generate, I've got a parts list which will show us individual device lists, and also we've got table of contents here as well. So let's generate that parts list here. So this device list shows us the device tags of all the devices and the associated parts. So this would be, if you're trying to label all your devices, that would be pretty useful for that. And I also can generate a 3D report. So this layout here, which I've done in 3D, I can generate this from a report by going to Utilities, Reports, and Model View. So this is your Model View report generator. So if I just use this one here I made earlier, do generate report. Now I should have a new page for my DIN rail and duct cutting. So here I've just created a quick report. So this is just a bill of material, and all I want to show is the quantity. It should be length. So the length of each duct, the length of each DIN rail. So I can hand this to my wireman or my panel manufacturer and say, hey, look, these are my lengths of my ducts. These are part numbers. This is the length of the DIN rail. Just cut it to length and then bolt it on the back pan. Saves a bunch of time. They don't have to grab measurements from the drawing and look at it. They can just say, hey, this one is that length. So really easy to create this. And this is no extra work. I didn't have to manually label anything. It's from the 3D layout where I drew it, and everything was assigned to the parts. So automate as much as you can and you'll save yourself a bunch of time. And these reports can be generated for different people throughout your business. We can also export all this information to XML, text files, or Microsoft Excel, and we can import them into other software from there. So let's have a look how to export this parts list. We can just go to Utilities, Manufacturing Data, and then Export. So here I can see I've got my settings already preset up here. And let's just take a look at what's in here. So right now I'm using an Excel file. I've got a template set up here. And the template is very simple for this one. And then my target file, so where it's going to go. And there's also some other information you can get set up here. So let's just click OK, and then I'm going to press OK right now, and then overwrite the file I created earlier. So now in Excel, it's exported my parts list. So this one should match up exactly the same as that one there. So obviously this is an Excel, so this could be to the purchasing department and they can start filtering things as they would in Excel, and they're very familiar with how Excel works. So if I only want to show Allen Bradley parts, we can just filter those down. So right now I'm just filtering by manufacturer. So you can export and then utilize the power of other programs as well. Okay. So I think that concludes my demo for today. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed the demo. Please be sure to stop by the Eplan Experience booth at the Rockwell Automation Fair at home.
When we wake up in the morning, the world has changed again. And if change is the single constant of today, whether in automation, digital transformation, mechatronics, or electrical engineering, we should take change as what it is. Chance. Our mission? We want to design the future of engineering. Designing the future means being open. Open to everyone and every idea. We connect engineers, systems, data and disciplines worldwide for machine and panel builders. Designing the future means empowering. We empower engineers all over the world to realize their ideas. Our tools and solutions enable you to maximize your efficiency, customized to your needs, from simple to high-end. Designing the future means being future-proof. We lead the market with more than 50,000 customers and with 19 languages. We offer local support in more than 50 countries. This makes us the global partner for you and your future success. Because efficient engineering is when a plan becomes Eplan. Collaboration means being close to our customers, listening to your needs and your challenges, and understanding how we can help you to plan and shape the future. Let's Eplan.
The Eplan platform includes products that are tailored to provide efficiencies in design and engineering of electrical and automation projects. Eplan has always been the tool that allows electrical engineers to excel and outperform the competition. Although Eplan may be part of your vision, you need to know for sure that it's going to work and that you'll be able to show your team. The Eplan guided trial team of experts can help you with this task. This test drive of sorts is not only free, but it includes a real project plan with guidance and support from an Eplan certified consultant. So what are you waiting for? Your journey starts here. info.eplanusa.com/guided-trial.